You ever heard of the term affordable housing? Housing that's more affordable. You know what luxury housing is? Or townhomes are. These kind of terms that have been around for, ever, that people kind of understand exactly what that is. Well, about 5 years ago, California, the geniuses, decided that people were getting offended by the word affordable. It was making them feel bad. Just, I feel bad that I need affordable housing. So instead of actually like fixing the housing crisis and the housing problem in California, they renamed stuff to make people feel better. And whenever you legislate feelings, you run into a lot of big problems. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the show. So when you legislate feelings, like I was saying, you run into not only problems, but you run into issues with the renaming. You're going to now offend a whole nother class of people that you thought you were protecting. It makes no sense, right? So California, again, as I mentioned, did it again about 5 years ago, and they labeled something what was 100 years affordable housing. They now called it workforce housing. So they changed this terminology throughout all the codes. Nobody understood what it meant. And us real estate brokers, we couldn't decide what was workforce, what's affordable, what's middle class, what's my name? I mean, it's just like things were getting nuts. So California actually had to define it for us, like we're stupid, but they had to define it for us. And whenever you have to define a new word, you're just kind of creating it out of thin air and trying to make it work. But they took a shot at it, excuse me, and they called it, it's the households that make 60 to 120% of the average area's median income. It's a whole litany of stuff, right? So now I got to do research as a realtor before I'm leasing or selling something or whatever. I got to now go out and find out what the median area income, which changes every quarter, every month, right? And I got to go, monitor this all the time. And it's got to fit between 60 to 120% of that number, etc. So we still couldn't understand it. It was not really working. Nobody was calling it workforce housing because it was no problem, okay? It was like 3 people that were offended by the term affordable, and now they call them workforce people. Like somehow that makes them feel better. But the vast majority don't understand what the hell's going on. So they had to further define it and say, well, look, we made this law to really apply towards fire, police, public employees, nursing and medical area, retail clerks, etc. So, okay. So now all those people are pissed off that now they're being categorized and called workforce, which essentially is a new name for affordable. And so now you pissed off all the public employees, not all, a lot of the public employees, the retail people, that now they're offended. They're getting slotted into that, what you tried to protect before, those 3 people now have become 3,000 people, okay? Typical California, typical legislating feelings. You don't legislate feelings. I could give a shit about those feelings. I want to fix the problem, okay? I want to fix affordable housing in the state. I don't want to make people feel better that they sleep on the floor, okay? That's what these politicians do. This is not political. This has happened before Newsom. It's happened during, and it will happen after Newsom unless they fix something. So what happens now? Think about it. In that general light, now that we've been discussing that kind of frustration of legislating feelings and making people feel good instead of fixing the problem, what does California do? What do the geniuses do? I'm sure they're very nice people, but a lot of them are not suited for this job. But what do they do instead of fixing problems? So they find their constituents, one other guy finds in the legislature that his constituents are offended by the term workforce. So now they got a whole word salad going in the legislature and in the Department of Real Estate over there. What the hell do we rename workforce now? So now they're talking about terms are getting tossed around of terms like essential housing. Okay, that reminds me of like pandemic, essential workers, non-essential workers. That pissed off half the state. So that's a good route to go down. Or attainable housing. So it's a housing that I can attain. So it makes no sense. And my question is, do we then get rid of everything across the board? Like, do we get rid of luxury housing? Do we get rid of the term Section 8, which is an affordable housing coupon voucher from the federal government? Do we call that something else like attainable voucher? It's all nuts. This is what happens when you legislate feelings. I want to fix the problem. I don't want to make them feel good crapping in the sidewalk. And California is a little different. I don't know when it's going to change. I hope it will. And there's some other states that do this as well, but that's what's going on in the affordable housing, which I'm going to keep calling it, real estate market. See you next week.